What are the odds that just a few days after WrestleMania, Linda McMahon would be in the news cycle? What are the odds? Yeah, it turns out that you know that you know institutions were profiting massively from government student loans, shocking absolutely no one. But if you were like myself, who already kind of was able to intuit this, then vindication feels nice. Vindication is one of my favorite feelings. But yeah, let's go through this New York Post article. Trump education boss reveals greedy truth behind Biden student loan forgiveness. They have profited massively. President Trump's education boss, Linda McMahon, has defended the administration's decision to resume student loan debt collections. Which, yeah, the Biden administration stopped collecting student loans, but the Trump administration is going to continue collecting them, as they should. Insisting that greedy colleges have profited massively from the Biden era forgiveness measures. The Department of Education announced Monday it would start recouping federal student repayments again from May 5th from the roughly 5.3 million borrowers who are currently in default on their loans. In a fiery Wall Street Journal op-ed addressing the move, the education secretary blamed the Biden administration and universities for making, quote, empty promises to students while pocketing their loan dollars. Spicy. Quote, colleges and universities call themselves nonprofits, but for years they have profited massively off the federal subsidy of loans, hiking tuition and piling up multi-billion-dollar endowments while students graduate six figures in the red, McMahon wrote. A widely cited 2015 study found that every dollar of increased federal caps on subsidized loans, college raised tuition by 60 cents, she continued. Many of the degree granting programs that qualify for student loans are worthless on the job market, but colleges continue to accept students to these programs and encourage them to borrow to pay for them. Accountability is a two-way street. As we push to hold student borrowers to account, we will also push colleges to be responsible and transparent. I agree with pretty much every word of that. Linda McMahon was a good choice for Secretary of Education. McMahon insisted the administration wasn't enforcing the collections to be unkind, as she blasted former President Joe Biden for dangling, quote, the carrot of loan forgiveness in front of young voters during his successful 2020 election campaign. Student loan collections were initially paused under Trump's first administration in 2020 as a COVID relief measure, but Biden later extended the temporary deferment program, McMahon said, noting that the Democratic president, quote, never had the authority to forgive student loans across the board, which he tried to do, and luckily that didn't happen. But he still, you know, he still attempted to do that. Luckily, SCOTUS shot him down. SCOTUS is pretty good for that. There's one of the good things SCOTUS. I'm pretty sure it was SCOTUS. I'm sure someone can fact check me on that. I don't. I do remember that his attempt to just completely hand wave away a bunch of student loan debt was completely was kind of halted. The move, she argued, only allowed students to rack up a massive debt that is now long past due. I am announcing an end to this dishonest and irresponsible policy. We will conform the department's repayment options to federal court decisions and end the Biden-era practice of zero interest, zero accountability forbearances that are pushing borrowers into loan delinquency and default, she said. On May 5th, we will begin the process of moving roughly 1.8 million borrowers into repayment plans and restart collections of loans in default. Borrowers who don't make payments on time will see their credit scores go down, and in some cases, their wages automatically garnished. It's it's rough, but nobody held a gun to your head and forced you to take a FAFSA loan. Nobody did. I didn't take one, but I didn't go to college. But still, even if I had gone to college, I would have not taken a FAFSA loan if I could help it. I actually got rejected from FAFSA, believe it or not. I applied for it and got rejected, which is apparently very rare, but they decided not to give me a loan. And, thank God, in retrospect, thank God that they didn't. Because, I may have ended up in debt with a useless fucking degree that I don't need. Quote, why? Not because we want to be unkind to student borrowers. Borrowing money and failing to pay it back isn't a victimless offense. Debt doesn't go away. It gets transferred to others. If borrowers don't pay their debts to the government, taxpayers do, McMahon added. Linda McMahon's a pretty, straightforward, she's a pretty straight shooter. She's very, that's just very, black and white, kind of almost Milton Friedman kind of level thinking. You know what I'm saying? Just no, if you don't pay your debt, somebody else is going to end up paying it. She stressed, too, that student loans needed to be paid back because they weren't like regular consumer loans, such as a mortgage or a car payment. Quote, we are committed to ensuring that borrowers are paying back their loans, that they are fully supported in doing so, and that colleges can't create such a massive liability for students and their families, jeopardizing their ability to achieve the American dream, McMahon said. In announcing the new measure, the education secretary had earlier criticized Biden's efforts to cancel billions of dollars in student loan debt, several of which were blocked by federal courts in 2023. The Education Department said 42.7 million borrowers who owe more than 1.6 trillion in student debt are pushing the nation's federal student loan portfolio towards a fiscal cliff. The agency also noted that more than 5 million borrowers haven't made a single monthly payment in over 360 days, and many haven't in more than 7 years. Think about that. Imagine you take out a loan and then you just decide, I'm not paying it back. Now, I'm not saying that the federal student loan program isn't scummy, that it didn't, that it didn't kind of take advantage of a bunch of young, dumb, impressionable kids, and they ended up taking on a bunch of student loan debt that they couldn't possibly pay off at interest rates that were ridiculous, and with the fact that if they didn't pay off their student loan debt, their wages would be garnished, and they potentially wouldn't be able to draw Social Security when they retired if they were still in debt. That's all wrong, but it wasn't required. You didn't have to take the student loan. Most of you didn't even have to go to college. I mean, seriously, how many people do you know, or maybe you even, who's listening to this video right now, maybe you went to college, took on a bunch of student loan debt, and then ended up working a job that you didn't even need the fucking degree to get in the first place, that you could have got without the degree. I know tons of people that happened to. No, nobody held a gun to your head and made you take a federal student loan. And look where it got you. Let me know your stories down below if you are one of these people who, kind of got suckered into this thing and then realized too late that, oh shit, because I don't necessarily blame you, you know, but yeah, seriously, let me know below, and like the video, and a sub, and do all the algorithm things, and click all the links in the description, and sub to all my alternate channels, and follow me on X, all that stuff. Throw me a loan.